Okay, so today we're going to do a ride along with ICE, and we're going to see where that takes us. Listen very carefully to what these people are saying, because they're going to say some things that are very important about the process that they have to go through to get people into custody that they have misbehaved, broken the law in the United States as an immigrant, even if they're a green card holder, even if they're a immigrant permanent resident, even if they have that going for them, there are still grounds on which they can legally, lawfully, within the bounds of the law, be removed from the country. Just because they actually walked across the border, it doesn't mean they get to stay here forever under any and all conditions and do what they want. So let's take a look here.
So we want to stay far enough away, but close enough where we can respond when something's happening. You know, obviously he knows that he's not a U.S. citizen. He's here legally, but not a U.S. citizen. He knows he has these convictions, so he knows that this is something that, you know, could be happening. He was fighting the whole time, even in the back of our car with ICE. We're an agency that can actually achieve public safety by, you know, if so ordered by a judge, you know, removing somebody back to their native country who is violent, like this person.
So the largest mass deportation effort in American history just got ordered by President Donald Trump. So we came here to Chicago to figure out what it looks like for the people living here and why Mayor Brandon Johnson is putting so much on the line to protect these immigrant communities.
That's our target for today. He's last arrest was kind of put him on the radar. He is a legal permanent resident, but with this we should be able to put him in front of the immigration judge. He did robbery 3 years. Just got out last year. He also has resisting arrest convictions. Probably not very cop friendly. The past couple of days, it's 1220 bus westbound, right on Lincoln and Roosevelt. Once it gets closer to that, I'll jump over from the south side to the north side of Roosevelt. There's another little parking center there. I'll get on there. That way, when I see him come out, close it. Once the time gets closer, I see the bus rolling, I'll call you guys in to kind of converge in closer to that area. All right. If he runs, we should have enough guys to kind of get behind him. If he tries fighting, there's plenty of us to get control. All right. There is family inside the house. For sure, there's 2 minors, teenage boy and teenage girl. There's live with the mom, so the mom's in there, and there's another older male we can't identify if he was an older brother or stepdad.
So where are we heading now?
We're gonna head to just stage up near the address. So there's like sounds like
East Wilson Avenue,
a strip
South
mall.
Main Street, Lombard.
A strip mall and some grocery stores, so we'll stage up. We'll be able to get eyes on the house first, but we're gonna try to get him as he gets off a bus before the house.
What does staging up mean when you have different vehicles?
Staging up is just, it means
East Wilson Avenue.
that we'll have somebody that's kind of closer to the house that has like actually eyes on, that can kind of monitor the house and monitor the bus stop. What you know, the idea is that there has been some previous surveillance done
In accordance
on the
with-
subject already,
Turn left on South Main Street.
and so we know right now pattern of life is that he gets off a bus between like 12 and 1, and so the idea is once he gets off the bus, before he gets home, we'll approach him and encounter him, you know, on the street, so then we won't have to try to attempt to get them inside the house. And so what we'll do is staging up people. We have, I think, 4 different cars, so we'll have cars set up in a way that everybody can kind of converge on the target when he gets off the bus.
And how does it work if he gets home first?
If he does get home first, it sounds like there's a couple different options that we have. We could, you know, knock on the door and see if he'll let us in and come in because we don't have a criminal warrant on him. We have an administrative warrant this time. But since we do have a lot of hours already spent in this case and we know patterns of movement, there's a good chance that, you know, say for instance this is his day off because we don't quite know where he goes while he's away from the house, that we might just come back another day to try to get him coming off the bus, just because we don't know for certain if he let us in the house. And since it's a good case, we kind of don't want it burned because he's got a pretty significant criminal history, to include like resisting law enforcement. So this is a good case to kind of get outside of his house. And we do have information that inside of his house, he has a wife and a couple of minor children and another adult male that's living there that we haven't identified yet. So it just kind of increases risks for everybody, if you will.
Now, he has a wife, this individual, but being married to a citizen doesn't automatically ensure that someone gets to stay inside the country automatically. It's not automatic. There's paperwork to be filled out. There's a process to go through. Again, due process. But it goes both ways. People say, well, where's this individual's due process? Well, you're kicking him out of the country. Why didn't he observe due process when he came into the country? If he's not going to give the United States the respect of doing that, why would we give him the respect of doing that? It doesn't make any sense. That's like saying somebody walks up to you and slaps you across the face. You're pretty likely to slap him back. But if you don't slap them back, they're probably going to slap you again. I hate to use violence as a visual yardstick, but it really kind of fits.
We're trying to get him in the house. And then what stood out to me is the assault on a police officer. So that kind of, heightens up the level that, if he's fought the police once, that there's a chance that he'll want to fight again. So at least in this case, I think we have 7 or 8 officers. So we're in a good spot to do it. So hopefully, again, our just show of force and numbers will help.
Is it pretty standard for the targets that you go after that they have a laundry list of their previous activity?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of times we're going after targets that have pretty significant criminal histories, especially the ones that we spend a lot of time working because they're the ones that we really want to get. Like I said, this guy has, I think, several convictions. Unsure exactly when they are, but this could be another case too where if he did serve time here in Illinois in prison, since they kind of passed their sanctuary ordinances, like we wouldn't have had notification that he got released. But there's a chance that if we would have got notification that we could have arrested him, coming right from a prison.
That's much safer. Just pick up.
Right, exactly. Safer, and again, like this case too, the case officer was talking that they spent a couple of days doing surveillance on it already. So again, there's probably over 20 hours just spent, in this case, out in the field. And so if you, now today already there's 7 of us times, it's going to be 3-4 hours today. We're looking at, 50 to 60 hours for one case.
What does a smooth up? How does that go?
That's what everyone always prays for, is a smooth up. And I think the smooth up is that one, and this, this has at least the beginnings to be a smooth up because we did have a little bit of time to do some pre-surveillance on the case and just kind of get educated about it. So smooth in this case is going to be that we have the pattern of life kind of locked.
Now that's important too. They didn't just willy-nilly run out and grab a person. They went and found that person's normal patterns. They found and identified the safest times and places that they could arrest an individual. They did their research. They did their due diligence. That's part of the process. So now that they have all of this information that they can use to keep the subject safe, family safe, ICE agents safe, and the general public safe, now they're going to take all that information and they're going to go out and arrest the individual in the safest manner possible. Oops.
Down so that he does get off the bus at the time we think, and that we are able to converge at a time to get him before he gets in the house, and that, you know, he obeys all of our commands, and it's just a clean arrest where we don't have to use
They
any
usually
force.
don't obey any commands
you
at
know,
all.
That keeps our officer safe, it keeps, you know, the target
It's
safe.
horrible.
And then we get him back in the process.
I don't laugh because it's funny, I laugh because it's frustrating. It's just one of those
He is a
people.
lawful permanent resident, meaning, you know, he has a green card, he's got lawful status here, but he does have a conviction that makes him removable from the U.S., so that his case will be set up to see an immigration judge, and the immigration judge will make the final determination whether or not, you know, he can stay, or whether, you know, if he gets a final order of removal from.
And there is a difference between a lawful resident, a lawful permanent resident, okay, and a naturalized American. There's a difference. The paperwork is completely different, and that matters. I don't care what anybody says. Don't let anybody tell you any crap about it. The paperwork matters. It matters.
In the U.S.
Can you explain a bit about like how you position?
Sure, and right now we want to be far enough away because we have people, some cars with good eyes on the house. That means that they have, you know, they're seeing what's going on right at the location. So we don't need to be close at this time. So we want to be far enough away where no one from the house is gonna, you know, if they're doing any type of counter surveillance, to see us and kind of burn the case. And burn the case just means, right, so they know that we're looking at our, and they'll kind of change what they normally do. So we want to stay far enough away, but yet close enough where we can respond when something's happening. So there is kind of a lot that goes into it, and a lot of the team that's been out doing surveillance already has kind of scoped out where the best places are to sit, to be able to see what we need to see, but yet not be seen.
The guy had before mentioned counter surveillance. Does that happen a lot?
It does with a lot of the people that we arrest, right? They're known criminals, they have criminal convictions, and so they know that either we are looking for them or they're still committing some type of crimes. So they are pretty much out there looking around their areas. And some of these places too, right? If they see a bunch of cars that, you know, they're not used to seeing, it kind of gets their antennas up when something might be up.
So it sounds like these people are expected to at least have some sort of touch point with you guys at some point in their life.
Right. You know, especially, you know, like this guy, you know, obviously he knows that he's not a U.S. citizen. He's here illegally, but not a U.S. citizen. He knows he has these convictions, so like he knows that this is something that, you know, could be happening. All right, so there's in that blue car.
So you can see another.
Yeah, so the car there is one of ours, the blue one. So they have eyes on it. So right now we're just going to kind of hang back just because our windows are tinted and people can kind of see in here.
Do you get encounters with the public if they see you in a situation like this?
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes they'll come and kind of see what we're doing. You know, there could be a time when we're out to make the arrest that we're approached by the public, and it seems to be happening a little bit more lately at this time. Again, trying to kind of impede what we're doing or obstruct what we're doing. So that's why, even like as we go out, you know, if everything goes good here and this guy comes back when he's supposed to come back when we arrest him, we don't try to just spend a lot of time out there. We try to make the arrest and then bring the alien to our processing area to get processed.
Even with a green card, being a permanent lawful resident of the United States, legally, the term that they refer to them is alien. So it's not an illegal alien. He's just an alien. And that's important when it comes to process, because that is how the law defines individuals who are in the country legally, but they are not actually naturalized citizens. They are aliens. They're still aliens. That's important. In fact, I wouldn't mention it if it wasn't important.
So we might have Turner coming out, so he might not have been on the bus.
He's walking on South Lincoln Street.
This is where it starts to get interesting.
So they said the other guy was in the red shirt. They think it's Tango though, huh?
Is that Target?
Yeah, it looks like him. I'm gonna have to try to approach him.
Is that him walking right in front of us too, I think?
Yeah, back now.
Okay, they're right there in front of us. He's gotta get through this. Should be good. Yeah, yes.
Notice that these officers are not punching and kicking or pepper spraying or hitting with batons or any sort of thing at all. They are passively restraining this individual who is clearly struggling like mad to get away because he knows that he's broken the law and he knows that he may be subject for removal because all those things are explained to people when they get a green card. That's part of the due process. So this individual knows they did something that could get them kicked out of the country. So now they're trying to prevent being kicked out of the country. So they're fighting. Here's the thing. How can you not know that it's useless? How can you possibly believe for even an instant that fighting the officers is going to get you a chance to stay in this country? That makes absolutely no sense. But let's watch a little more because this is where we get some more detail. That concrete's got to be hot though. Wow. Wow, that siren's annoying. I hate it. I hate it when a police officer with a siren pulls into a scene. The sirens are going. They get out of the car, okay, and they have to. But the siren's still going. They're sitting still. They're right there. Come on, just turn off the siren. How is that so difficult?
Then for my wife to make that key. Hey, Mom, please go away with that door. Mom!
You're here, right? I want the chance.
Go check the other side. You say you got your keys?
Yes, you went in my house, please.
We'll take care of it.
My mom went to the doctor, but she's bad.
I got pop you guys. One more, my brother.
We need some sweets for my kids, please. Please. Get the two eggs right there at the black car. Please, come on out, go ahead.
Hey, fuck guys. No, when you get to the go another way car. That's all right.
Thank
We'll
you,
give you a phone call.
move the floor.
We'll give you a phone call. We'll tell you it'll be okay.
Now, he's been arrested, so he gets a phone call, just like everybody else. He's not going to be denied due process. I keep saying, I keep using the words, this is important, that's important, because it is. He's not going to get denied process. He gets his phone call just like everybody else.
Backside, passenger side, passenger side.
Please, hey, get my car!
Get in the car, it's all right, man.
Please!
Get in the car. Sit down in the
I don't
car.
know, you haven't shown me an ID, who are you?
Homeland Security. We're the Department of Homeland Security.
Homeland Security?
Yeah, we're the Department of Homeland Security. Got it? It's gonna be okay, man. We get a phone call. Right? Work with us. Don't fight us. It's okay, okay? Promise. All right. Good?
Wait, no, what is this for?
Notice that they are not being abusive to this individual. They are not even verbally abusive. They're being kind to this individual. Verbally, they're saying, hey, I'm trying to reassure you, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try to make things as easy as possible for you. So, you know, just don't fight us. That's all you have to do is don't fight us, go through the process. And you know something, I'll tell you something. Listen, there is still a possibility, though remote it may be, that individuals in this type of situation still might be able to stay in the country. They still might have a chance. He has a chance to appeal this. There is an appeal process. He'll get a lawyer. The lawyer will defend him, and he'll have a right to appeal. So there is due process. So he still may actually end up staying in the country under certain conditions. And if he messes up again, then that's gone. That's gone. There's no other way to put it. But understand, they are not mistreating this individual. All right, they're doing what they have to get him in the car.
Fuck you, what is this for, please?
We have a order to get a list.
For what? I'm not in the country legally, I'm in the country legally. I'm Eric Granillo.
Answer this question.
Yes.
Somebody's handcuffs somewhere knows.
These guys are just like regular cops. They are responsible for their equipment. So if they lose something, they're going to have to pay for it. I know it sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true. So this guy's like, I have somebody's handcuffs. I better know whose. So he doesn't get in trouble. And the person who lost them doesn't get into trouble.
Okay, we're going to house. We're going to get the medication.
I'll spin around. It sounded like
Okay, here's another kind thing that they're doing. All right, this is really important because this person has medical conditions. He says he has medication he has to take, so they're going to go to his house. They don't have to do this. They could just take him to a center, process him, and get his medication at a later time. They could do that legally, but they're saying, oh my gosh, well, we don't want him getting sick, so let's go to the house and get his medication. But you watch and see what happens.
he said that he had medication. So, and so if he does have any medical issues, that's something that, again, those are the questions that we ask when we get it. If they have any medical issues, and he said he has some medications at the house, so an officer's going to go back to his house to get whatever medication that he has. So he has it with him. when he comes into our custody too, again, this is our non-punitive detention, like he'll get a medical screening and everything as well, but if he has medication he's currently taking, that's something that we want him to have.
What's going on?
This is where this man makes a mistake. The subject, not the officers, makes a horrible mistake. If you take any action to try to escape or hamper the process that you have to go through when you're arrested, then that is obstruction. It is interfering with the duties of the officers. That's obstruction, and that's another charge. All right, so this guy's just making it worse for himself. You'll see how.
Just maybe hang tight here. We might want to get him to Broadview, and then somebody else can get the meds later. Okay.
What's going on?
Notice that these houses, these are all small, but they're very nice houses. The lawns are well kept. There are, nice cars and driveways. Things are very well kept. This person is living a very good life, but they had to go and mess it up. You see? And this happens, and it's sad. It's horrible. They get into the U.S., they start to build a good life for themselves. They're legal residents, and then they do something stupid. Well, that's kind of on them. You know what I'm saying? They may feel they don't have a choice at some point, be it whatever, they had to get the money to pay some bills or this or that or the other thing. There are resources. There are resources. You don't have to go out and rob stores and mug people or whatever else.
Don't know. I think obviously he must be in the back. I don't know if he's trying to kick out the window. That can sometimes happen. He's not happy to be arrested.
And if he does all this stuff, if he breaks vehicles and hurts officers and screams and hollers and he's abusive and he's trying to hurt the people who are arresting him and I'm going to get you, that always works. The officers always say, oh, geez, yeah, okay, well, if you're going to be like this, then we're sorry. We're just not going to arrest you. Not. How can he not know this is just going to make things worse?
We got a thumb up, so they're good.
You want to explain why your officers, agents have their business?
Yeah, I think that's one of the unfortunate things that's kind of going on now. There has been reports, and I don't know if any happened here locally, about just doxing of our officers. It's something that they don't necessarily always want to do. It's kind of uncomfortable with the faces, but as you can see, there's been a lot of public out here filming, and so what's happening is they're trying to identify our people and then post their personal information on websites, and it's something that I think our officers realize that's part of the risk of the job, being law enforcement, right? That we're not ashamed of our faces, but the issue is these people have families too, and so they're not.
See, and this is something that I want to point out. No matter what happens, you could expose these officers, you could give out their addresses, their telephone numbers, their full names, their social security numbers. their cat's name, anything you want, they still stay on the job. They're not quitting. They're not leaving the job because they're afraid. You can't scare them away. It doesn't work. And people have also recently, there was some reports of people actually shooting officers. Right? The one officer got shot in the neck. Well, he survived, thankfully. But now that person who fired that shot, well, hey, that's an attempted murder. That's an attempted murder of a federal agent. That's horrible time in prison. That person is not going to avoid going to prison. It's going to happen. Who thought that was a good idea? Seriously.
Not just going after the officers, some of these are going to officers, houses, when they have their families there. So they feel the need to kind of cover their faces just to protect themselves and their families.
As you can see, right, it didn't go as planned. We had the best laid plans on this. What was going to happen, it didn't happen, and unfortunately, he fought throughout the whole arrest, even in the back of the car.
Is that why, like, when you have these many guys, when you know that criminal history has a history of resisting, that's why you would have to have these many resources?
Right. Exactly, because you can see what happened if we had only had 2 or 3 guys there. I mean, it was a fight to get him under control and to get his hands behind his back.
And I think that's the risk, right? If we can't control
somebody's hands, we don't know what they're going to have on them, especially somebody who's resisted before. We don't really know if there's any weapons involved or anything else. And obviously with the history he had, we have to assume that there was weapons. So thankfully we were able to get him under control, fairly quickly. And then again, that's why we have to have a lot of people out to do these arrests. But that's just another thing that I see happening, right? If that, we arrested this person now, and then if this was a local arrest, if they were booked in somewhere in Illinois, we would get notification of the arrest, and then we'd have to try to arrest the same guy again down the road if the same thing happens. So it just puts officers in jeopardy again and again and again, when really...
It's safer for the officers. It's safer for the person being arrested. It saves time and money and resources, and reduces the chance that some innocent bystander somewhere is going to get injured if the officers can go to the jail where the person has been detained after an arrest and pick them up from the jail. It's just a better idea all around.
Like with ICE, we're an agency that can, actually achieve public safety by, if so ordered by a judge, removing somebody back to their native country who is violent.
Again, ordered by a judge. Due process. So they don't go out and just grab people.
Like this person.
So on the range of smooth to bumpy, what do you rate that?
I think it was smooth up until, this was bumpy. It was good. We identified him. I think we had enough officers on, so we were able to get him under control where he couldn't hurt any officers and he couldn't hurt himself. But again, he was fighting the whole time, even in the back of our car. He was fighting, like he probably wanted to try to escape the car, so he was probably either kicking with his feet or elbows or head, and so then we had to go ahead and fully restrain him in the back of the car, which is hard to do, but in this case, we initially just had him handcuffed behind the back, but since he was causing some damage and we didn't know what he was trying to do, so then we put leg irons and belly chains on.
Again, what made this individual think it was a good idea to start trying to escape the car, causing damage, possibly hurting themselves? Because all it did was get them even more restrained. They're trying to escape capture, trying to escape being restrained. Now they're even more restrained. I don't understand how that even works. I can't even think like that. I don't know how.
To kind of restrict movement, so to keep him safe and then our officers safe transporting.
Was he disoriented at all?
He didn't appear to me to be disoriented. He appeared to kind of know exactly. And I heard my officers telling him exactly what was going on, why he was under arrest. We understand that, he told us that he was a permanent resident here, that he wasn't here illegally, which is true. Right at this point, the judge hasn't ordered him removed up until this point. But we explained that, we did have a warrant for him because of the crimes that he was convicted of. And then again, tried to explain to him saying, like, hey, you're not going back to your country today. You're going to have hearings before an immigration judge and, many other options, to...
Again, due process. Now, you heard him say they had a warrant for him. It's an administrative warrant. That administrative warrant says this person did something wrong. They can be subject to arrest. They can be hauled before a judge. And then at that point, the criminal charges are brought forward. So this is not a criminal warrant. This is a warrant because this person defied process that they were supposed to be observing. They said, well, I'm just not going to observe any of that. I'm just going to do what I want. Well, that wasn't the agreement when he got his green card. He broke his agreement. He said, well, that's no reason to kick him out of the country. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because if they're willing to just ignore that, they're willing to ignore laws, rules, and regulations and specifications that keep everybody else safe. They have no concern for you. They have no concern for themselves at sometimes. And they certainly don't like ICE.
He can definitely get an immigration attorney if he chooses to go through and kind of fight his immigration case.
And are you updated on their status?
Oh, we will. Like now we have these, this enforcement side that we just kind of saw, the enforcement, but now when it goes through, we have, our other officers that go through the whole kind of case management side that will follow this case through the immigration process and get updates as it goes through. We have, ICE has the legal division, which is the Office of the Principal Legal Advisor. So we work with our ICE attorneys then as this case goes through, and they'll update us anything that happens. Once this case reaches, a final order of removal, if that's what a judge orders, then we'll have people that set up, an actual plane. This individual is from Mexico, so there's, a chance that we'll remove him via ground, at a port of entry into Mexico, but that's what will happen with this case. And then we're the agency that does that. So again, we have this case from arrest all the way through removal, if that's the disposition, right? It could be different cases where the disposition might be that they, an immigration judge grants a benefit, be it asylum or, permanent resident status. But again, that's really not under our control. But once, a judge issues a final order, then we're tasked with that.
Notice that he's outlining a process. The judge says whether the person gets to stay or not. Stop. Let's dwell on that for just a moment. The ICE officers themselves do not get to say if that person stays in the country or not. They don't get to say. When they get that person in front of a judge, they are powerless on whether that person stays in the country or not. They have absolutely no part of that. Only after the judge has made their decision does ICE have more to say about it. And if the judge says removal, then ICE is the organization that removes them. That's their job. And it's all done by legal process. So it's not, they're not railroaded. And like I said, they also have a chance for an appeal. All right, so they have the same right to that as anybody else who's arrested.
We need to execute that order by removing them from the U.S.
And there we go. So you see, ICE does their homework. They do their research on the individual. They do the research. They know the law, right? So they're not breaking the law. They're not violating the Constitution. They are not denying people due process. There is a whole mess of process to this. And they also have, I did another video that outlined the process where it said, hey, they have a chance for an appeal. They can appeal. And so if they get before the appellate, and the appellate says, hey, you know what, the other court was wrong, you get to stay, but here are the conditions. It's going to be supervised. And there are a number of different types of supervised release. But usually it's some sort of probation, you have to stay out of trouble. There's probably a suspended sentence in there somewhere that says, okay, as long as you don't screw up, we're cool, but if you start messing up again, you're out of here. Now, there are a lot of people, they don't go and learn this stuff. This is important information. But people still, they just can't be bothered. And they start spouting. They spout words that they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. It's all opinion. They're listening to somebody's lies, be it whatever. If you need to know this stuff if you're going to talk about it. And in order to know this stuff, you have to go find out. Go find out. It's not hard. It's easy. I can do it. I'm half blind. I have an absolutely huge monitor here. I have a keyboard that's easily 2 or 3 times the size of anybody else's keyboard that I know, just so I can see it. Okay? But I go and I find out. If I can do it, you can do it. Go find out. Do the intelligent thing. Don't listen to the news for Pete's sake. Oh boy. And people say, well, you're talking about liberal news. You're a Fox guy. Let me tell you something. When Fox says something and I don't think it sounds right, I research that too. I don't believe for one instant there's a news agency out there that tells 100% the truth. I don't believe it for a second. You shouldn't either. That's bad business. Go find out. So, at this point, as usual, I would like to ask you to comment, like, share, follow our channel. That would be most incredible for me. You have no idea how much I would appreciate that. And I want to thank you for your time. God bless you. And God bless America.